What's up, guys? It is Sam here, and I wanted to give a update on the YouTube results. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Make sure you press that subscribe button. And to give you a little bit of context, I've had a YouTube channel since 2013. Hi. And I was never consistent. I was never actually committed to it. I would do a video here and there, and then a video here and there, but in the interim, I would just not do anything, and that might be for several months at a time. And then back at the end of October 2018, I actually was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, right? And what I wanted to focus on. Because I knew I didn't want to do what I'm doing currently now. And I want the freedom of my time to be able to go where I want to be able to go on my terms and do what I want to be able to do on my terms and spend time with who I want to spend time with on my terms. And very audacious, I know, but that's what I want to do. And if I believe that that's what I want to do, then there's a path to get there. And that path was the next step for me is creating an outline to be able to achieve that. So I gave myself about 72 weeks to do that arbitrarily. First of all, was creating my burn rate, right? So it was about $2,000. That's the minimum amount of money I could spend in a month. I could probably spend less than that, but $2,000, and I rounded it up to $3,000, and that is $100 a day, right? For 30 days, $100 a day, $3,000 a month. That gives me a nice little cushion in there. And what I've been working on is growing the YouTube channel. I figure I need about 1 million minutes a month in order to get to about $2,000 on YouTube, based on previous CPMs. Which is kind of like the amount you get per 1,000 views. So, with that being said, I decided to create a spreadsheet. So at the beginning of November, up until the end of March, so if I started at this number and I needed to go here, you can just engineer what that growth rate would be on a weekly basis to be able to do that. And everything was going amazing. The amount of growth that I had in the first 10 or 11 weeks in terms of minutes watched was, so the amount of growth that I needed on a weekly basis every single week starting from the end of October 2018 up until the end of March 2020 was about 7.82% per week. So those numbers, if you know anything about math, are pretty fucking ridiculously high. So initially, for the first 10 or 11 weeks or so, I was handily beating those. And about the second week into January, I was negative in terms of the minutes watched. The growth of the minutes watched was negative, meaning I went from 18,000 minutes, right? Everything had been going amazing. Like the average for the first 10 weeks in terms of the growth rate was like 20-something% week over week, just like crazy growth. And then the second week of January came and I was negative 2.5% almost. And then the last week, so that was probably the third week of January. Then the last week of January, I was negative 1.5%. And then going into February, I was negative 1%. So the amount that I was negative is decreasing, but it's still fucking negative. So it's still going down. And then the first, as of the second week, going into February 9th, that week I finished with up about 3%. Then the next week I was down 1.5%. And then I was down 3%. And then in March, the end of March, something happened, and that first Saturday, which is I think the 2nd of March, I was up 11.5%. So I need to beat a 7.82% on a weekly growth rate, and I was up 11. So that's great. And then the week ending the 9th of March, I was down another 1.25%. And then these last 2 weeks, so this is the first 2 weeks of consecutive growth. By the way, stay tuned to the end of this because I have a really big thing to just thank you for if you're watching this. So stay to the end to find out what that is. But it's very blessed, very, very blessed. Anyway, so the last 2 weeks I've actually had growth. Positive growth would be the better way of saying that instead of just growth, because you could have negative growth, and that's what I was having. So I had positive growth the last 2 weeks. So the week ending on March 16th, I was up 4%, and just over 4%, and the week ending on the 23rd, which was yesterday, March 23rd, I was up 3%. So week over week growth, which is amazing. Also, I broke 20,000 minutes watched in 1 week. That is amazing. That is so humbling to realize how much of my content has been consumed in just a 7-day period. And when I go through and calculate that, right? So if I start here and I need to get here, and you're going to grow it, and I want to grow at 7.82%, right? So I just calculate that out, how much it is that I need to finish each week with, and then I can compare that to what I actually hit. And hitting 20,000 minutes watched, right? Because the first 10 weeks I had crazy growth, like averaging 20 to 25% per week. And to reach 20,000 minutes watched in a 7-day period is absolutely astonishing. And the other thing is, I just hit the week, just about the week ending August 10th of 2019. So that puts me about 5 months ahead of schedule. 5 months ahead of schedule, which is absolutely amazing. Not exactly 5 months. It's like 4.5 months ahead of schedule, but that is truly tremendous. And I am very thankful to be on that route. Anyways, so I would like to actually extend that and continue growing at a rate faster than 7.82%. However, I've only done that once in the last basically all of 2019 so far. I've grown out of the total number of weeks, which is let's see, out of the first 11 weeks right here in 2019. Actually, out of the first 12 weeks so far into 2019. Starting on the week ending on 1/5/2019, I've had 2 weeks over the growth rate I need to achieve, which means that on the weeks that I hit over the growth rate that I'm supposed to achieve to hit my goal on time, those have to be really high over to make sure that the average of all the weeks comes up to where it needs to be. So that is the objective of this, is to track my results and bring them to you so you get to see. There's a lot of times we see people that are, say, living the lifestyle that we would like to live or doing some of the things that we would enjoy doing. And then there's the people who are like seeing that, right? So you have this certain type of lifestyle that you've designed or vision in your mind. And then you see people maybe living this type of lifestyle or certain aspects of it, and then you have a lot of people here like that can see that, but there's a gray area between my hands right here where a lot of the time that process of going from here and getting to here is not available for people to see. And that was the point. That is the idea of documenting this along the way so that people are able to see the amount of time and the amount of work that goes into reaching this vision that I created in my mind. If it continues along this path, I might finish a few months ahead of schedule. I don't know. But I just made a video on the earnings update of 5 sources of income. So go check that out. It's on the channel now. You should be. It's probably the video before this one. So if you just check out like the 5 sources of income online, you can check that out. Tell you all the dollar amounts, where they are, how I'm getting them, and all that shit. Now, if you go, if I go through just some of the stats over the last 30 days, the minutes watched are, over the last 30 days, 81,000 minutes watched. I've never had a month like that, let alone a quarter in the past, right? Because I remember at the beginning, I'd let you know I started in 2013. I was never consistent with it, but I've never had a quarter that was 80,000. Like, I had my total minutes watched in 2018 was like 122,000 minutes watched for the entire year. So to have something, to have 80,000 in one single 30-day period is just tremendous. And that's a 9.5% increase relative to the 30 days prior to that. So this goes back from like February 22nd to the 23rd, which is, or something like that, of March. So it's not representative of all of March yet, but I would expect that I will have in the low 80s in terms of minutes watched for the month of March. Now, the total number of views is 37,963. So also an 8.5% increase relative to the period ending on February 21st of 2019, going back to January. So like what this is comparing the previous 30 days with the prior 30-day period, and there's an 8.4% increase over that time period. The average amount of time people are watching the videos is increasing. That was 1%. So maybe not tremendously, but it is going up, so thank you. And I started making money from YouTube, which is pretty cool. This was not in the 5 income sources video, but I've made $9.24. I just started to be able to monetize it maybe about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe, in that time frame, like within the last 1 to 2 weeks. I'm averaging about maybe 75 cents per day. So super exciting. And I'm looking forward to the growth. Now to go through some of the actual like engagement type of things. So the number of likes is basically flat. It's negative 0.5% over the previous 30 days. The number of dislikes is down 21%. So clearly I made a video that had a shitload of dislikes before this. The number of comments is down 8%. The number of shares is down 10%. The number of videos and playlists, which I believe I have control over to some degree, is up 14.5%. And the number of subscribers is up 8.9%. So I think there's definitely some opportunity in the engagement section. If you find this video helpful, share it with somebody. Like, if you think it's going to bring them value, like, share it with them. And not only does it hopefully bring them some value or encouragement if they're on this process, but it also helps out the channel. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram. The link will be down below if you're on YouTube, or up above if you're on Facebook. Now, to get into the last piece of information, and I'm not sure how to say this, but I, as of yesterday, crossed over the 1 million minutes watched of content on YouTube. That is tremendous. That is really, really humbling to see that my content is bringing some type of entertainment, valuable information to you guys. And I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me to cross over that milestone. It's been a long fucking time. That's the cumulative, right? Because I remember I started in early 2013, so almost 6 years. Actually, 5 years 11 months and 1 day. Like, it was very close to being a total of 6 years to cross that milestone. So, definitely blessed. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned. Every week I'm coming out with new videos about the results and many, many other things of how I'm creating this living online, what I'm doing, and the results associated with what exactly I am doing. So if that's interesting to you, make sure you subscribe and share this video if you found value in it with somebody else who might find value in it. Appreciate it. Peace.